Welcome back everyone to Học tiếng Anh với Joseph, where we build our vocabulary and practice some pronunciation through reading. Hôm nay chúng ta tiếp tục cuốn sách The Cat in the Box với câu chuyện số 6 về one of my favorite scientists of all time, Galileo Galilei. Measuring inertia. Galileo Galilei is famous for an experiment he did not carry out, but it was a real experiment, inspired by his work. He was professor of mathematics in Padua from 1592 until 1610, and during that time he worked in mechanics and astronomy as well as mathematics. To put Galileo's achievement in perspective, at the time he was working there, many people, educated people, who thought that a bullet fired horizontally from a gun or a ball fired from a cannon would fly a certain distance in a straight line, then stop and drop vertically to the ground. It was Galileo who first appreciated that the trajectory followed when a bullet is fired from a gun or when an object such as a ball is thrown up in the air is a parabola. And he carried out tests to prove this. Among the many experiments he carried out in the years around the turn of the century, there was a series of studies in which he rolled balls with different weights down the inclined planes. He timed how quickly the balls move using his paws and reached two important conclusions. The first was that the natural state of a ball rolling off the slope was to continue horizontally, literally toward the horizon, unless it was stopped by friction. Without friction, he reasoned, the ball would roll on forever. This was an early insight into what Isaac Newton, following Robert Hooke, developed as his first law of mechanics, that an object stays at rest or moves in a straight line at a steady speed unless it is acted upon by an outside force. Galileo's second discovery was that the speed with which the balls rolled down the slope did not depend on their weight. For any particular slope, it took the same amount of time for any of the balls to get from the top to the bottom. This applied no matter how steep he made the slope. So he concluded, without actually dropping things vertically, that apart from the effects of wind resistance, all falling objects would accelerate downward at the same rate. This infuriated some of his colleagues, philosophers of the old school, who believed that Aristotle, who said that heavy objects fall faster than light objects, could not be wrong. So in 1612, 2 years after Galileo moved from Padua to Pisa, one of them really did drop 2 weights from the Leaning Tower in a public demonstration intended to prove that Aristotle was right. The ball hit the ground nearly at the same time, but not exactly. The Aristotelian said that this proved Galileo was wrong, but Galileo had an answer. Aristotle says that a 100-pound ball falling from a height of 100 cubits hits the ground before a 1-pound ball has fallen 1 cubit. I say they arrive at the same time. You find on making the test that the larger ball beats the smaller one by 2 inches. Now, behind those 2 inches, you want to hide Aristotle's 99 cubits, and speaking only of my tiny error, remain silent about his enormous mistake. Among other things, this true story highlights the power of experimental method. If you carry out an experiment honestly, it will tell you the truth, regardless of what you want it to tell you. The Aristotelians wanted to prove Galileo was wrong, but the experiment proved he was right, within, as we would now say, the limits of possible experimental error. By 1612, Galileo was nearly 50, and his days as an experimental physicist were essentially over. His famous clash with the church authorities in Rome did not take place until 1630s, and led to his spending his final years from 1634 under house arrest at his own home, a relatively lenient sentence considering that he had been forced to confess to heresy. There he summed up his life's work on mechanics and promoted the scientific method pioneered by Gilbert in a great book, Discourses and Mathematical Demonstrations Concerning 2 New Sciences, usually known as 2 New Sciences, published in 1638 in Holland. The book was enormously influential, the first real scientific textbook, and an inspiration to scientists across Europe, except of course in Catholic Italy, where it was banned. As a direct result from being a leading light in the scientific renaissance, Italy became a backwater, while the real progress was made elsewhere. Well, this is the end of story number 6. Let me see if we have some vocabulary. We weren't very successful last time, right? Let's see. Here we go. But it doesn't play. Don't know why. Let me go back and take a look at the file itself. Yeah, it should work. In any case, okay, here it is. Okay, we have inertia, quán tính, trajectory, friction, friction, resistance, acceleration, accelerate, that's a verb, infuriate. Khi mình làm cho người nào tức giận, it infuriates somebody. We infuriate, or those people are infuriated. Demonstration, we demonstrate something, or demonstration has multiple meanings. You can check it out. Always use the dictionary.com to start. They are quite good. Discourses. Well, if you last this long, you must like the book, like I do. We are not going to include in this clip anything from YouTube anymore, because I have a copyright claim from, I think, the BBC in the last episode. So this is it. Just some vocabulary, and then we say goodbye. Okay? Thank you for your time, and see you in the next story. Bye for now.